Welcome to Leader Lifestyle Hub. As we have set the target of completing 200 book summaries in the entire year, here comes the book number 142. And the name of the book that we have today is Creative Schools, written by Sir Ken Robinson. Let us see the target audience and synopsis before going to top 3 lessons. The 18-year-old who just finished her last high school exam and is about to leave the formal education system. And the 61-year-old teacher who has not changed his teaching routine in the past 5 years. And anyone who wants to have kids. Let us see the small synopsis. Creative Schools reveals how fundamentally broken our formal education system really is and how we can change our perspective to teach children the competencies and the things they actually need to navigate to the modern world. Let us listen from the author himself, Sir Ken Robinson. Many schools are organized as they are because they always have been, not because they must be. I remember where I first saw Sir Ken Robinson's face on the TED website. Do schools kill creativity? Is the most popular TED talk of all time with over 40 million views. The knighted professor emeritus from the University of Warwick has dedicated most of his life to transforming education, especially with respect to the arts. If you thought school was boring and feel it didn't prepare you too well for real life, then you and Robinson will also get along just fine. He's been criticizing the standardized testing machine we call school for years. This is called standardized testing machine. School is called as the standardized testing machine. In Creative Schools, this book, he outlines how we can fundamentally shift our perspective to help shape schools that actually teach kids what they need to know. Yes, Ken Robinson has raised his finger with this book, and it's point right at governments and policymakers. But it's more than that. While admitting that we are standing in front of a big pile of broken processes, he also shows us how we can start picking them up and piecing them back together. Let's all rally together for more creative schools. And don't think it is an effort in vain, even if you have long finished all sorts of schooling. We are all teachers at some point in our lives. Remember that we are all teachers at some point in our lives, and it's up to us to be the best ones we can be. Let us see the top 3 lessons. Here are the 3 lessons to show you where schools are and where they need to go and how we can make it happen. School is not designed to make you well educated. It's designed to make you a useful and obedient worker. Or we can also say that a useful employee. Second important lesson is when you are teaching someone, think of yourself as a gardener. And the most important lesson is the most important things we can teach our children are 3 things: curiosity, creativity, and criticism. Ready to make a school a better place for future students? Here is how a true teacher extraordinary things we can do it. Let us see each lesson in detail. Lesson number 1. Schools aren't meant to make you better, but they are designed to make you an obedient and productive employee. Have you ever thought about why schools are the way they are? What they were created for? When you dig deep into the books of the history of education, what you find is not all too pretty. Before our Western formal school system was introduced, only few people were schooled. Usually the sons and daughters of rich people would have private teachers to teach them in a variety of subjects like history, art, math languages, biology, and music. Only rich people have their private teachers. Why the sudden change? Why have everyone learned these things? because after the Industrial Revolution, people would need them to do their work. It's very simple. To do highly standardized factory work, people would need highly standardized factory knowledge. So at the turn of 19th to 20th century, Western governments introduced mass education built around conformity and obedience, using the same linear processes that made factories so efficient. 100 years later, our kids still run through the same standardized test infected machine to become cogs in the system when these cogs have long stopped being valuable. Currently, schools are getting unvaluable. There is a reason Western schools do poorly in PISA studies and Finnish schools with only 2 hours worth of lessons a day are at the top of the scoreboard. They have only 2 hours of lessons in a day. Schools are not designed to make you smarter. Right now, they are designed to make you a productive employee who does not ask too many questions. Let us see the lesson number 2. Try to think of yourself as a gardener when you want to teach someone something. Can you remember a time when everything was interesting, when you wanted to touch, feel, look at, and explore the whole world? You might not remember it, but there was such a time. It was when you were 4 years old in your childhood, and then you started going to school. All of a sudden, you had to do some stuff, not because it was fun, but because it was required, mandatory. And you started disliking books, disliking the subjects, and you stopped exploring. If you didn't and you liked school, there was only one person responsible for this, that is your teacher. Great teachers nurture the creativity and curiosity of kids. They expand them, and instead of nipping it in the bud by making their lessons boring. We all teach at some times, whether to our friends, whether to our family, whether to kids, whether to actual classrooms. When we do so, Ken Robinson suggests we think of ourselves as a gardener. We can't force our plants to grow, but we can feed their natural desire to do so. He says a good teacher will do 4 things. Let us see the 4 things that a good teacher can do. Engage with the children on their level to spark their curiosity. For example, relating math exercises to baseball, history to local city, and music to the genres that kids like to listen to. Means first thing is engage with curiosity. Second important lesson is show his or her expectations to be a mentor to aspire to. Third thing that a good teacher does is use different means of teaching for different students. No two human beings are exactly alike, and they have their own expectations. And the fourth important thing that a good teacher exposes is bestow children with the confidence to handle whatever difficult tasks the world will throw at them. We are all teachers. Make sure you make whatever you teach worthwhile. Let us see the lesson number 3. What our kids really need to develop are curiosity, creativity, and criticism. In today's world, kids don't need to remember facts or hard skills. They will learn most of this during their careers. Anything beyond math and language understanding is rarely needed in real life. Instead of skills, Ken Robinson argues we should teach our children competencies. What would you want your kid to learn? A few useless subjects or the attitudes that help it navigate life. The world is changing very fast, and there is no way to predict what subjects will be useful tomorrow. Today it is AI. It may be different from tomorrow. Some things, however, are timeless, like these 3: curiosity, creativity, and criticism. Curiosity is nothing but the constant drive to pay attention to the world and ask questions about it. Creativity is the ability to to come up with the new ideas to solve complex, interesting problems and implement them. And criticism, the courage to question even the answers to their own questions, filter out facts from opinion and distinguish the signal from the noise. If we do nothing to be good parents, but still in our kids these traits, I would say we'll have done a decent job. I'm sure Ken Robinson would agree. How about you? So these are the three lessons. First thing is schools are made for making you obedient and productive employee. So make it more creative with the help of three lessons, which is curiosity, creativity, and criticism. If a school has to be creative, then the teacher has to be creative, and a teacher can be creative with the help of four things: engaging and showing the expectations, using different ways of teaching, and bestowing children with the confidence to handle. So this way you can become a good teacher as well as you can create a creative school. So that is all about creative schools. See you in another book summary tomorrow. Until then, stay connected, keep progressing.